Wait until the end.
Happening right now across the globe. As of about 3 minutes ago, 7:15 Eastern Time, 99% of the entire world's population is facing the sun. That means we're all experiencing some degree of sunlight at the exact same time, either full daylight or, for a lot of other folks, twilight. If you look at the map right there, just the Pacific Islands and Australia, the Australian region, are fully in the dark. 99% of the world.
And California, poor California.
Yes.
You know what, though? What a cool phenomenon.
Thing to bring us all together, literally to bring all of us together, because at this moment, I'm talking right now, 7:15, 99% of the population of the Earth is in some sort of daylight or sunlight. Now, this is due to the fact that the Earth has a tilt to it, 23.5 degrees. So it's the way it's rotating around the sun and the way it's orbiting in general. But right now, at this time in the calendar year, this doesn't happen every day. This only happens today, and it only happens right now. 7.68 billion people are in daylight or in twilight. The only spots that are not in daylight right now are Australia, Papua New Guinea, and New Zealand. Outside of that, the rest of the world is in daylight. You like that?
I'm beginning to understand that many people have a hard time discerning explanation from proof. Because someone gives you an explanation for an unprovable phenomenon does not make that explanation proof. We are told that lunar eclipses occur when the sun, the earth, and the moon are in a direct line. Supposedly, the sun shines light onto earth, the earth then casts a shadow onto the moon, okay? That is an explanation for a phenomenon that we see in the sky. It is not proof. Proof would be to see this happening from a different vantage point. We would need to go up on a rocket into, quote, outer space to get high enough to see the sun, the earth, and the moon and be able to say, okay, I am observing this phenomenon happen. But we can't. So this can't be used as proof of a globe earth. In fact, it can't be used as proof of anything. It only proves to me that you accept explanations without critically thinking. My son was suspended from school one day, and he came home and he gave me a good explanation as to why this happened. At first, I accepted that explanation until more evidence arose, and then I realized that that explanation was not proof, nor was it truth. You see where I'm going with this? We also have an eclipse that is called a selenilian. It is referred to as an impossible occurrence because it is literally impossible on a globe. It is impossible because both the sun and moon are above the horizon when this eclipse occurs, making it impossible for Earth's supposed shadow to be causing this phenomenon. It has been explained, not proven, explained away as the effects of atmospheric refraction. But let me remind you, refraction is of light waves, not shadows. Not only that, during this eclipse, the shadow is on the top half of the moon. I don't know how you want to explain that unless you want to say it's a mirage. I know you guys are good for that.
It's a mirage.
But the fact is, you will accept any explanation given to you as long as it's coming from someone that's higher in this hierarchy system. That's the way your brain was programmed to work. If I tell you something, you'll go back and forth with me about it all day. But if a guy with a white lab coat on comes along and tells you something, he doesn't even have to have a GED or a high school diploma. You will accept it as proof, and you will go around telling everybody that you know the truth. And it's all because you were programmed to accept whatever comes from somebody who fits the description. You see, if there's more than one plausible explanation for a phenomenon, then neither of them can be used to explain it. At some point, you're going to have to choose. And in doing so, you're going to have faith, making the globe that you believe in your religion. The same way flat earth is my religion. But I'll be the first to say there's more evidence to support my religion than yours. My religion is based on observable facts, while yours is based on...
Looking at these images of Earth, including the one they called the Big Blue Marble, which was released in 2002, I think. Zoom into it with Photoshop, you'll see where they've used the clone tool in Photoshop to take a picture of one of the clouds and stamp it in various places around the picture. They got lazy. You should see the stars do all sorts of strange motions, but you don't. You only see them make these perfect circles. That tells me that it's the stars that are moving, not the Earth.
The Copernicus principle, the one that we live by, is that we're insignificant, we mean nothing, we're a speck in the universe. That's the heliocentric model, that we go around the sun. The geocentric model means that everything goes around us. That's what this is in the Bible. That's what the first astronomers were saying. Ptolemy was the first one to say, yeah, we are the center. You can tell based on these observations, everything's revolving around us.
Earth is the center of the universe, and we stand still, and the universe spins around us.
You know what? They've lied so much. NASA's lied so goddamn much that I don't believe shit.
But here's Google Earth. Anybody can do this themselves. Go on your browser, go to Google Earth, and get out the measuring tool, and let's measure the United States. So you draw some lines around the United States, and it shows you, bam, that's square miles. Very good. All right, cool. Pretty good. Let's try something in the south. We'll go to Australia, draw a line around Australia, and it'll give us the square miles of Australia. You know, if we believe it or not, not the issue. And now let's go to Antarctica. Have you guys seen this?
No, I haven't seen this done.
Yeah, and you can do this on, and you have to go to the web version of Google Earth, right? And you click it, and what's that?
Whoops.
Okay. What is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you can do this on, and you have to go to the web version of Google Earth, right? And you click it, and what's that?
Whoops.
Okay. What is that?
Let's talk about what's actually happening during a total solar eclipse. And no, it's not what you think. First of all, the powers that be would want you to think that you're on a spinning water ball in an infinite space vacuum, and a total solar eclipse is when the sun is shining on the other side of some dusty rock that we call the moon. So when you look up these images of total solar eclipses, they feed you images that serve that heliocentric lie. Images that look like this, where it's pitch black because the sun is shining against this dusty rock and there's no light coming from the other side, so it must be pitch black. It's a lie. All these images all look pitch black in the middle, but that's not actually what you see during a total solar eclipse. I mean, look at this BS. It's total CGI. Okay, let's check it out. Here's what it actually looks like. And do you realize how far I had to search down on the Google search to even find real images of a total solar eclipse? But what do you notice? There's one. That's a real picture. Here's another. What are you starting to notice? And here's another. You see it yet? During a total solar eclipse, you can see directly through the sun and the moon. What? Yeah, folks, the sun and the moon are great luminaries set in the firmament by the Almighty God. They are not spheres in outer space, but spiritual discs. The sun is dominant and rules the day. The moon is submissive and governs the night. In the book of Enoch, between chapters 72 to 78, it describes the 6 portals that the sun and the moon are traveling above us in a clockwise fashion. Clockwise because we live under a clock. The moon's cycle exactly matches a female's cycle. The moon is most attractive and most full on the 14th day. A woman is most attractive and most fertile on the 14th day. In these chapters, it describes how the moon is absent of light, becomes full of light, and then becomes absent of light, invisible. The sun is 1/28th faster than the moon, and when it catches up to the moon, it will catch up and it will pass through the moon, and the moon is devoid of light because it's a new moon. When the disk of the sun passes through the empty disk of the moon, there is absence of anything at all. You can see directly through both disks. But this is the crap they'll sell you. That's a lie. And yes, the Earth is a topographical plane. So why does the moon have craters? Lying wonders are talked about in 2 Thessalonians 2, 9 through 12. Have you ever wondered why the two things in our sky are the same shape, size, and color, essentially? Because they were made to be that way. Praise Jesus. This is it, the apocalypse. Oh, whoa.
If you're interested in flat Earth, Watch this video.
Antarctica is protected by the nations of the world under an agreement called the Antarctic Treaty, including the Protocol on Environmental Protection. The Antarctic Treaty is from 1959. The treaty started with 12 nations, and since then it's been subscribed to by many others, and so we have a large group of countries in the world who are involved in this management arrangement.
Nothing flies over the South Pole, because again, on a flat map, the South Pole, the continent of Antarctica, is the ring around the Earth. So you can't fly over the ring and get anywhere. That's why we're not allowed to go there. I mean, think about it. It's the only treaty that's all these countries have signed and never broken and completely agreed on. It's the only one. And what treaty is there that everybody's agreed on?
The Antarctic Treaty is generally considered one of the most successful diplomatic efforts that have taken place in modern time.
The governments of this world can't agree on anything else, okay? Each one wants to be the superpower of the world. They're all hell-bent on conquering and destroying everybody else. But they come together and say, Antarctica is off limits? Kind of suspicious to me, but then again, I'm crazy.
We're being kept away from it for a reason. They have some scientific bases there, and literally it's controlled by the military. If you try and go there by yourself, you will be sort of picked up and escorted back.
He's just a Navy destroyer. He will yield. He'd be thinking, that cheeky better not cross my bow. They get angry when you do that. They don't. You're meant to yield to them, Joshy. They're probably on the radio. Is it?
The turret is turning our way.
The turret's turning at us.
Wait, we should hide Adrian in case they think we're trying to kill them.
Oh, fuck! Hide!
I'm just telling our Richard. Oh, hang on, whoa. Shut up. I think so.
What?
I think they are on the radio too. I think someone.
Stop, Josh. They take it seriously.
What did they say?
You got to yield. You can't just fucking. They think you're going to charge them.
We don't know for sure, but we think they did say something to us.
No, they did. They could. Stop doing that.
Send the dinghies out, boys. They're going to hide the water.
Going that way.
We're just traversing. But they're not. Is there a helicopter coming at us now? Yeah.
Are we late? I don't know. What
just travel. Just go.
Just go.
You sent out the chopper.
That's a drone. Is it?
No. That's unreal. Oh my God! Get it all.
It's a good reason, because they don't want you finding out what's beyond. Admiral Byrd he actually did four expeditions, and most of them were military expeditions with huge military groups. Thousands of people, planes, boats, the works. And yes, he confirms in an interview that he discovered a continent as big as the continental United States out there, that was with warm water lakes and mountains and everything.
I must say that Admiral Byrd, our guest tonight, is not only our greatest living explorer, but he's been an inspiration to countless Americans. Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
This is a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral, an expedition to which I believe you're the advisor is now en route. What is that expedition doing?
Well, that's the icebreaker Atka, and it's a reconnaissance expedition. It's going down to the South Pole area to make certain observations and to look for some bases. They will be back in April, and they will report back, and upon the information we get from that undertaking, we will base the bigger expedition that's to follow.
Is that very definitely planned, or is that...
that is being planned right now. So I'm willing to say to you that there will be a number of expeditions that will follow, I think, year after year, at the bottom of the world, because the government has really become interested.
And he described it as the other side of the South Pole to Middle America. So on the globe, that means it would be somewhere in the Indian Ocean. There's a huge continent that nobody knows about. So yeah, there's more going on than meets the eye. The other thing is, after Admiral Byrd came back after his last expedition, Antarctica was sealed off, and both America and the Russians started firing nuclear missiles straight up. Now, in America, that was called Operation Fishbowl, and it came under something called Project Dominic. Well, Fishbowl makes sense because it seems like Admiral Byrd found the edge of the dome, okay, while he was out there. And as soon as he left there, they started firing missiles straight up, I believe, to try and test how far that dome went. If you look at the footage of these explosions, what you'll see is an explosion. Well, when a bomb goes off in midair, it's a fireball. It expands in all directions and mostly up. Okay. Now, if you look at these explosions on Operation Fishbowl, they explode outwards in a ring, which means it's exploding against something because it can't rise with the heat. So it's exploding against something and exploding outwards. Okay, and the middle of the explosion, you'll see it glows, hot, and then it cools over time. So it looks to me like they were exploding against a dome. Now, I said it was Operation Fishbowl, obviously Fishbowl, but there's a chap called Rob Skiba who discovered that the Project Dominic, the word Dominic means of the Lord, Fishbowl of the Lord. So I believe they clearly know that we're in an enclosed system.
They've lied so much, NASA's lied so goddamn much that I don't believe shit they say. Ptolemy was the first one to say, yeah, we are the center. You can tell based on these observations, everything's revolving around us.
Earth is the center of the universe, and we stand still, and the universe spins around us.
Heliocentric model is in trouble. Watch as the sunlight shrinks and follows the sun. It's definitely a locally illuminating sun, not far away, not very big, and definitely not 93 million miles away.
There's a place in Bolivia called Salar de Uyuni, which is a salt flat. It's literally 100 miles wide one way and 80 miles across, and it's perfectly flat. And when it rains, literally you get an inch of water, and it looks like a perfect mirror. Now, how does that happen on a sphere? Yeah, it shows you that, you know, if you're one end of this salt flat, you can see perfectly clearly the other end 100 miles away. So it's just showing you that, you know, the Earth is flat, and without the effect of the waves in the sea, you'll be able to see a whole lot further. We took a picture across the Great Lakes from Michigan, and it was able to see, I believe it was Chicago, which he shouldn't have been able to see. And the television station basically said it was a mirage.
I found this photo, Randmere State Park. This is from Joshua Nowicki, and what you're seeing here is a mirage. We typically would not be able to see this from the Lake Michigan shore. We talked about this last night. Conditions are right on the lake that we're actually seeing a mirage of the Chicago skyline. Very interesting here. Here's what's happening. This is a good example of a superior mirage. So Joshua was on the Lake Michigan shore. He was looking towards the west, and Chicago's beyond the horizon. Should not be able to see it. However, with the right conditions, we have an inversion. We have cold air near the cold lake water and some relatively warmer air above it. This will bend the image of that skyline back towards the viewer. And so typically we would not be able to see this. This image would be viewable from much, much higher in the sky.
They always say it's a mirage, but for a mirage to happen, you have to have very specific atmospheric conditions. You know, it's not a mirage, it's simply that you're looking across a plain.
Now, how come in all these ball pictures, man, you can see all the continents pretty much, and there's just a little bit of clouds here and there. Man, it's like some of these pictures, like there's some where they show the Earth at night and you can see all the lights and stuff. It's like, you're telling me the entire continent didn't have clouds? The entire fucking continent, like you can see Africa and all these lights and all this stuff. Like, you know, if you turn on your porch light, I guess you can see it from space, apparently. And it's like there's no clouds in some of these pictures.
The sailor thinks that he's traveling around the Earth this way, when in effect he's traveling around the Earth this way.
They began flying it around the world, from Abu Dhabi last year, with stops in India and China, then across the vast Pacific.
Does running around your neighborhood prove that the neighborhood is round?
I was an airline pilot for Delta for 26 years. A pilot's primary flight instrument is his artificial horizon, which he has to be maintained level to keep from climbing and descending. From a cockpit, weather permitting, I could see hundreds of miles in all directions, viewing cities connected by roads across the flat plain as far as the eye could see.
Are you the pilot? Am I allowed to say hi? Hey, I just want to say thanks for the smooth flight. All right. I did have one question. Is there like a specific angle of downward tilt you have to fly at?
3 degrees.
3 degrees for the curvature of the Earth?
Oh, for the Earth?
Because, yeah.
No, we just fly over the troposphere.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have to keep like kind of going down because?
No, we actually have to nose up. It flies like that.
Really? Because I was reading some stuff on the flat Earth that made a lot of sense. Have you looked into it?
Which one? Sorry?
I was reading a lot of stuff on the flat Earth.
Okay, yeah. True.
I said, a woodpecker's tongue goes all the way around the back of his head and comes on top of his left eyebrow, left nostril here. Would you please show me any fossils that have been found, intermediate species between a normal bird and a woodpecker, you know, with his tongue going all the way around his head? What evidence do you have of how this evolved? That question never came up. I don't know what happened to it. But I said, termites chew on wood and they swallow it, but termites can't digest it. It goes into their stomach, and there's little tiny critters in their intestines that actually digest the cellulose. Now, those little critters can't live without the termite, and those termites can't live without those critters. Which one evolved first? I thought it was a fair question, but it never came up. I don't know what happened. I think they lost my list. But anyway, one of my favorite things to do is asking questions to people who believe in evolution. So I asked this professor if I could ask him some questions about the Big Bang. He said, sure, what would you like to know? I said, well, sir, you told me 20 billion years ago all the matter in the universe was squished in this little tiny dot. And it was spinning faster and faster and exploded. I said, where did all this matter come from? He said, well, we don't know that for sure. I said, okay, now, sir, hold it. If I told you that I believe about 6,000 years ago God created the heaven and the earth like the Bible teaches, you're going to say, and where did God come from? And I don't know. But you said 20 billion years ago there was a Big Bang, and you don't know where the dirt came from. So basically, I believe in the beginning God, and you believe in the beginning dirt. Don't tell me my theory is religious and yours is science. Oh, no, sir, they're both religious. So I asked the professor, where did the matter come from? He said, I don't know. I said, well, sir, would you please tell me where the laws came from? The universe is run by laws, gravity, centrifugal force, inertia. Who gave the laws? He said, we don't know that either. I said, sir, could you tell me where the energy came from? You know, it takes energy to make a Big Bang. Who bought the gas to run this machine anyway? He said, we don't know that either. I said, sir, could I ask you another question? He said, sure. What else would you like to know? What do you mean else? You haven't told me nothing yet. I said, does Berkeley have a merry-go-round? How many of you know what a merry-go-round is? You go round, round, round till you puke, okay? He said, no, we don't have a merry-go-round at Berkeley. I said, you ought to get one. You could learn some good science on a merry-go-round. If the merry-go-round is going clockwise, when the kid flies off, the kid will be spinning clockwise until he encounters resistance, like a tree or telephone pole. That's because of a law in physics known as the conservation of angular momentum. You see, if a spinning object breaks apart in a frictionless environment, the fragments will all spin the same direction. It's very simple. It's because the outside is moving faster than the inside. And so it keeps the same direction of spin. The professor said, yes, I understand about the conservation of angular momentum. I said, well, good. I'd like to ask you a question then, sir. If the whole universe began as a swirling dot, like you said, why do two planets spin backwards? He said, that's interesting. I said, no, that's more than interesting. It's kind of hard on your Big Bang Theory. Not only that, 6 of the moons are spinning backwards. Why? He said, I don't know. Why do you think they're going backwards? I was hoping he was going to ask that. I said, well, sir, I believe it's very simple. You see, I believe in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth, and God did it that way on purpose, just to make the Big Bang Theory look stupid.